What is going on, guys? Hope you're doing well, and today we're going to be going over 8 high-level tips, tricks for the Dragonknight for ESO PvP. Now, in update 49, Dragonknight received a class rework, and now that we've had it for a couple weeks, I wanted to do a deep dive on some things that I've learned, some tips and tricks on how to play this class effectively, as these are things you really can't include in a build video, as it will make it probably close to an hour long. So I wanted to do a dedicated video just for the Dragonknight. But before we get started, if you guys are enjoying the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I also stream here on YouTube and Twitch, so come check me out. And also, if you guys need help with build advice, I have ESO PvP Academy Discord, basically a resource for newer players or even veteran players to discuss builds. So come join. We'd be more than happy to have you. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So for the first tip on Dragonknight, we are going to be going over Flame Lash. Now at base, this skill is kind of lackluster. You deal flame damage and get a little bit of extra healing, nothing crazy. But where this skill gets immensely more powerful is when you attack somebody with Flame Lash who is also off balance, you gain 5 stacks of Power Lash for 20 seconds, and that effect can occur once every 20 seconds. Upon activating Power Lash, you deal damage to not only the target that you are attacking, but also area of effect damage to nearby enemies, and this also heals you. And when you finally use all 5 stacks, you increase your damage done by 7% for 45 seconds, which again is pretty strong as well. So the quick and dirty of this skill is you can proc this a multitude of ways. Base Dragonknight, you can proc this, if you heavy attack and proc off balance, and then hit whip, and then go into your whip attacks. That is the base Dragonknight kit that you can proc off balance pretty easily and be able to go into your power lashes. So just so everybody is aware, this passive, the Mountain Giant, is what is allowing us to proc off balance from our fully charged heavy attacks. Now this is not the only way we can proc off balance, but this is the way that DK as a base kit can proc it. But something else to note is you have to have an Earthen Heart ability slotted. So for example, on this build, we have igneous weapons on our front bar, but if we did not have that and we just had corrosive, we would still be just fine. But if we did not have any of these skills on our front bar, we would not be able to proc the off balance. And for our back bar, we have Earth Shield Mantle. On some builds, you can even be running corrosive on back bar. So as long as you have just at least one of these skills slotted and you land a fully charged heavy attack, you will be able to proc off balance. Now something else of note is there is a cooldown of off balance, so you can't just keep that up 100% of the time. Now the pro tip of using Power Lash is this effect can occur once every 20 seconds and it is up for 20 seconds. So how you can make this insanely strong is you proc Flame Lash, right? And you just go into some of your other skills. So you hit your Deep Breath, Noxious Breath, Flames of Oblivion, and then when you get to about 7 seconds or so, you can really start pumping out those Flame Lashes. And then you proc off balance again, light attack, and now you can go into even more Power Lashes, which allows you to drop 10 Power Lashes in 10 seconds or so. And you can get that healing and also the area of effect damage. So for the second high level tip on Dragonknight, we're going to be going over the Scribing system, and particularly over Dazing Knife and Shattering Throw. Now while Dragonknight does at base kit have access to off balance, sometimes in highly intense PvP situations, proccing a heavy attack can get you killed, and you would much rather have easier access to off balance, and the Scribing system is allowing us to do that. So for my preferred skill in Dazing Knife, we can proc a stun. Also, we get extra weapon and spell damage per target in an 8-meter radius up to 6, so we can get 300 weapon and spell damage, and also 8% mitigation for 5 seconds, and then we can proc off balance for 7 seconds on those targets. Now the reason why, the main thing here is we don't have to use Fossilize or Shattering Rocks, and this replaces our main CC and off balance proc. The main thing and the reason why I really like this skill is, let's say we're fighting this guy here, throw the knife at him, we then proc, and when the knife returns back to us, we can proc off balance from the other enemies it hit. So this allows us to hit the initial target, the knife come back to us, and then we can proc Flame Lash, or our Power Lash version of that skill, on another target, and we can, you know, spam the Power Lashes. So just in case that person ran away, we can't hit them with Flame Lash, we can proc it from other targets. That is why I prefer this, as it replaces our main stun in Shattering Rocks or Fossilize, and it procs off balance, and it is a semi area of effect. Now for the next skill in Shattering Throw, if I were to use this on my back bar, I would prefer the multi-target to hit up to a total of 3 enemies, also giving me that extra bit of recovery and proccing off balance. Now, the drawback of using Shattering Throw, at least with the AoE version, is it does not have a inherent stun like we do with Dazing Knife. But the really big bonus here is proccing off balance to multiple targets, allowing us to hit not just the original version that we hit with our Flame Lash, but also the other 2 targets. So for the next tip here, we are going to be utilizing some different potions. Now, Dragonknight has an immense amount of stamina sustain, so in some situations we can actually get significantly tankier through using spell resistance potions. So we use max health, max magic, and get an additional spell resistance, which is going to make us immensely more tanky against Dragonites, as you know 90% of people are playing DK and PvP, which is going to help against all their flame damage attacks, that sort of thing. Now how you craft this is Bug Gloss, Mug Crab Chitin, and Columbine. Those are the 3 main ingredients that you can use to craft these potions. So for the next tip on Dragonknight, it is very basic in its overall concept, but it really makes a huge difference, and really only the high level players use this effectively, and that's going to be your light attack weaving. Now igneous weapons buffs your light and heavy attacks, giving you extra flame damage up to once every 2 seconds. So this is actually pretty insane. Whenever you are using a set like I am with Yondir's, the more damage ticks you have that deal critical damage, the easier it is to stack all of these effects. So we have, you know, we heavy attack, and we are proccing our enchants, we are proccing our igneous weapons here, and as long as we keep light attack weaving, you know, every 2 seconds we're getting free damage. So if you're not light attack weaving, again, it doesn't cost you any resources, and it also keeps you in a rhythm, and also, at least for Dragonknight, will give you extra damage on your target. Now the next tip here is utilizing a class combo and rotation. So you really ideally want to have Heart of Flame and your Incinerate, your old Flames of Oblivion skill, to be hitting in very quick succession, pretty much at the same time, to give you some insane burst potential. So for this basic concept and overall AoE type combo, we're not going to be really focusing on the Power Lashes. It's mainly going to be setting up and doing a little bit of poke damage to your opponent. So you want to start off by hitting your Heart of Flame, and then you want to light attack and hit your Disintegrating Dragonfire, light attack, stun, and then you want to hit your Incinerate. This will allow your Incinerate and your Heart of Flame to be on a pretty easy cooldown. You'll be able to keep these skill effects very, very close in their succession, giving you some insane burst potential outside of even using just base Power Lash or Molten Whip. This combo is very similar to the first one, it's just utilizing different skills at different times. For this one, we are going to start off with the Disintegrating Dragonfire into Incinerate, and then we're going to hit our Heart of Flame into a stun, into Whip. As we do our second whip, we are then proccing both of our area of effect attacks in Incinerate and Heart of Flame. And then as soon as those 2 blow up, we then go back into our rotation of using our Power Lashes and dotting up our opponent, trying to make sure we keep as much uptime on our other effects as possible. So now that we went over the offensive rotation, I feel like it's also very important to discuss the defensive rotation. Now, just like with Heart of Flame, and I know some of these offensive rotations didn't include, you know, hitting our Resolving Vigor, but in most situations, you know, you can't just spam attacks and survive. You have to also be healing at the same time as you are dealing damage. So for the main thing, if you're not taking a whole lot of heat, you want to just hit your Resolving Vigor and top off your health. But as you get lower, you want to be utilizing your Blood of the Elder Dragon. This is going to give you a huge burst heal, and it will also heal more as you get lower health. In that same aspect, don't be afraid to utilize your Fleet Step wings, not only to give you immobilization from snares, give you major expedition, and also reduce damage from projectiles. But the main thing here is if they can't see you, they can't hit you, you can't take damage, and you don't have to heal. So having, a lot of movement and survivability in that regard, getting behind cover, it's going to be of immense value, not having to just face tank everything and trying to heal through it. Also, don't be afraid if you have Resolving Vigor up and you've just hit your Dragon's Blood and you have off balance on your enemy, or you have your 5 stacks of Flame Lash, to hit these a couple times when you're on your front bar. Now, if you're taking a little bit too much heat, you probably want to bar swap back, but you can offensively heal while you're in your corrosive armor, for example, and surviving while dealing area of effect damage to your enemies. So it has a lot of healing potential on this build and overall playstyle with these abilities. And the next tip here on Dragonknight is going to be utilizing Heart of Flame effectively. Now, this skill is going to be your way to pretty much unlimited resources on the DK. So whenever you use the skill, you get 15% of your missing health, magicka, and stamina every 2 seconds over 4 seconds. And then whenever this skill is finished, it will burst in area of effect, dealing damage to nearby enemies. And this also hits very hard as well, but it is going to be your main sustain. You want to keep this skill up more than Vigor, in my opinion, as this is going to give you all of your sustain on DK. Now, where this skill gets very strong is a magic dump. So you're going to use magicka to convert this into stamina. So if you have 1000 stam, you get almost 10k stam from this skill, which is actually insane. You can utilize this skill in so many different ways. If you need stamina to roll dodge, hit it twice and you'll be able to roll dodge once instantly, and then also the second you'll be able to roll dodge very, very shortly after you get that next tick of Heart of Flame, which is very, very strong to get 2 roll dodges out of a single skill, as long as you don't have the exhaustion built up on that. Next is utilizing this with your ultimate. So hit Heart of Flame and then go into a corrosive. You're going to be probably close to full stam, if not very close, utilizing that type of combo. Next, if you don't have an ultimate and you need stamina very badly, hit your Heart of Flame and then utilize the heavy attack passive, giving you an extra 1430 stamina on your heavy attack. And if you also have the enemy off balance, you're going to get also even more resources back from your heavy attack. You can go from pretty much no stam to over 70% stamina just with that two or three combos of skills and passives alone. That's going to do it for this one, guys. If you guys have any other tips, please be sure to include them down in the comment section below. And that's going to do it for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.